Shut up and sit down.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
You know what I'd like? A brand new bike. Of course, there's some other things I'd like to have, but I'd sure like a brand new bike.
What's up, guys? I'm Matt LeGrand. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a rock climber. I'm a Lord of the Rings fanatic.
And I'm a YouTube superstar.
The brand new bike.
A new analysis published in the British Medical Journal finds that men are idiots.
Yep, we're idiots.
You may or may not be listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt LeGrand,
Sir Ian Gibson,
Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. If you like the show, enjoy it. If not, I think you actually listened to the move with some other guy named Lance.
You know what I'd like? A brand new bike. Of course, there's some other things I'd like to have, but I'd sure like a brand new bike.
My name is Matt LeGrand, and on this channel, we are always talking about biking, and biking.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Duren here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin' Hepler.
Back in studio.
What was that, dude?
I don't know what that crap.
Back here for your listening pleasure.
Just whatever comes to my mind is what comes out in the moment, and that was a swing and a miss.
All right. Tis right. Sir Ian Gibson.
Hey, Ope. Hello. How do you do?
What was that?
Oh, okay.
Hey, Ope.
That was
Hey, Ope.
Hey, Ope.
What does that mean?
Hello.
Translate that, please. Google Translate. Salty nuts. Okay.
Last but not least, the one and only, Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look fan-freaking-tastic. There it is.
Woo.
You heard it here first.
Awesome. All right, let's do some backpedaling. Matt, you want to kick us off?
Yes. I'm still, good days, bad days. I'm still out there biking in the garage an hour a day. I have no earthly idea what number we're
You're
on.
like on 86, 83
You know what's funny
like that.
is we're going to get past 100 and I'll just keep going. If no one says anything,
Nobody's
3 months from now, I'm going to be like, wait, I'm still on the dialed 100, guys.
You'd have to pay attention to the Slack channel to actually know when it starts and finishes.
Slack for me is like work. That's Slack. I don't want any other stuff in Slack.
Not play with my friends stuff.
Maybe Slack could be turned into something cool, something fun. Dial talk could be
Today
great.
will be day 86, Matt.
86.
Yep.
I was right.
I'm pretty close. I'm getting there.
Good job.
Yep. That is great. I haven't been biking outside that much because the weather hasn't been that good.
Shut up.
We did have some decent weather. We've had a couple of decent days.
It was like 77 degrees 2 days ago.
75.
It was 82 yesterday.
82?
At the airport, it was 82.
It was a little muggy, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I went out running, guys. I know this is a triathlon. Is this a triathlon podcast?
That's a waste of a good day.
I went out.
You can
running.
run in any weather.
I went out running and then I sat in the garage and biked. So it was super hot on the run. I ran in the middle of the day and I was drenched in sweat afterwards.
Perfect.
It was great. Have not been swimming that much over the past week or two. I need to get in the water tomorrow, or else I'm going to forget how to swim and then I'll drown. You'll be one less podcast host without me. So got to stay in the water.
Michael Phelps told me that
your best bud.
Me and him were tight. We're like this.
Yeah.
He was speaking to our group, and he said that if you miss a day of swimming, you have to start back where you were the day before. So he didn't miss a day of swimming for like 5.5 years.
Oh my gosh! You need to tell my son Ethan this because he's like, Dad, I'm supposed to take like 3 days off, and I'm like, you need to touch the water.
You just miss the feel for the water, it takes, if you miss like a day, it takes a whole nother hour to get back to where you were before. Anyway, I'll shut up now.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Phelps didn't miss a day for 5.5 years.
Maybe it was like 12 years, because what was his Olympic?
Oh, man.
I mean, he went through like 4 Olympics.
Like literally didn't miss a single day of swimming, or
that is
didn't miss a
correct.
single workout?
No, a day of swimming.
Literally was in the water every
single day. That was one of the reasons that made him so good.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. That is crazy. All right. I don't know if I 100% believe that, but Phelps, if you want to come on the podcast and defend your honor,
he's a freaking
please do
liar.
so. He's a liar.
Just a lie.
Don't go lying to me, Phelps.
What about you, Gibbo? What you been up to?
Yeah, back to cycling.
Thank you.
I feel like Lance and I basically have the same
Back pedal.
Backpedal.
We
but
do have the same back pedal.
Let's start with Sunday. So Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial.
Yep.
Correct. Yep.
We pulled it off.
Yeah.
Turned out okay, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, numbers were not great.
They weren't too far off of what we had last year.
130, 140, something like that.
About the same as the year before.
Yep.
So
I think
I
given
don't
the
know.
fact
Maybe
that the weather
we're
wasn't
just
supposed to be great.
Yeah, weather. I kind of think people are just losing interest in that kind of thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe. Anyway, operationally, it went well, and I feel relieved that it's all over and I can stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I did manage to race, so
Good
that was
for you.
cool. Yeah,
I have some thoughts on that, and you and I are going to have a little debrief.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We'll share some notes.
sure, sounds good.
Talked to a few folks and had some ideas. So,
Yeah.
cool.
That went well. I was quite happy
Ian
with.
won his age group, so let everybody shut up and listen to the master here. He did win. Yeah.
Well,
and he beat me by a full minute, so sod off.
My power numbers were a little bit down, but they were consistent. Like my normalized and average power were pretty much identical, which I think was a consistent effort, which I was pleased with. Conditions weren't super fast, and I was slower than I've done in previous years, but it felt okay. Yeah. I mean, it hurt, it sucked, but it's over now. And it was just a good day. I liked the vibe out there. It was really cool that all of our teammates kind of rallied together. It's something that we did and people stepped up for. So huge thank you to all the volunteers from Dial Cycling Team. John Hatfield was amazing. Picked up the truck, stayed to set up, tear it down, take the truck back, put gas in the truck. Lance freaking Hepler was out there 2 days in a row before the race started.
In the
cleaning
rain.
up the course
Marking
in
the
the
course
rain
Did you
with a
send
can
it-
of spray paint.
Did you send a bill to the city of Vancouver for that? You should, because they billed us for enough stumps. So
Yes, they
return the
did,
favor.
yeah.
One of the locals came out while I was like blowing off one of the corners. He's like, "Are you just doing this for fun?" I'm like, "No, actually, there's a race today." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So, the contribution of everybody was much appreciated. I think everyone did a fantastic job. So thanks to everybody.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's pretty much all I got. Lance and I went out 2 days ago for a really cool ride. Like you said, it was 77 degrees. It was sunny. It was warm. We went out to Salvey Island. We went into the West Hills. Good times.
It was good times.
Yeah.
Was that the troll hunting
Troll,
ride?
Troll hunting.
troll
It
hunters.
was the troll hunting ride.
Yeah. we follow you.
Ian didn't even know what I was doing. Actually, I didn't know what I was doing either, but that's what happened. Yeah.
Cool. Yep.
It was fun.
Yeah, I did the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial. I was running around and cleaning things up and setting things up within like 30 minutes of my race start time. I did not get a very good warm up. I'm trying to build the excuses here as to why I sucked so bad. I think the reason I sucked so bad is because, well, time trialing sucks. Maybe, see, I'm the problem, Ian. Maybe that's why the numbers are down, because I'm the problem.
I love the way it meant so much to Chris Hitchcock that you didn't do as well as you hoped you might. He
Chris-
came over and gave you
Poo-poo.
Yeah, well, that's Hitchcock. Me and Chris Hitchcock, we have a complete love relationship where he just absolutely tears me a new one every time I see him, and then we laugh at each other and walk away like friends. Anyway, yeah, I did not race very well, but I actually did it, and so I'm happy that I did. And that was all good. I'm glad we got through that. I'm actually starting to feel better. My back is not really 100% there yet or whatnot, but it's time for me just to roll with the program, just to keep rolling and just see how it goes here. So, yeah, it's all been great. I've ridden every day this week again. Monday, I actually got to preview a couple of the brand new SRAM products, mountain bike products. That
Just dropped today.
Yeah, that just dropped today. So they were just today was the embargo date. They were just released today, and so we'll talk about that in a minute. But I got to go learn about the products and then actually ride the products on Rocky Point trails in Portland. with a bunch of local shop owners and like the local SRAM reps.
I think I did see something like, I rode with the SRAM crew or something, and I was like, cool.
So that's what it was. It was a preview ride. It was pretty cool. I met some really cool people on that ride. Yeah. So. Other than that, I did this awesome ride with Ian. We actually went out to Savi's Island and we did our 2-man breakaway practice. We literally drilled it for the entire 30-minute loop around Savi's Island, just trading off poles, seeing how fast the two of us could go. This was just
the two of you. This was not the shootout.
Not the
shootout. Right. Okay.
That is happening.
That would be a pretty fun thing to try.
Yeah. The Savi shootout is still happening. It happens on Sunday morning. I think it starts at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings, and it still has been happening. I looked to see if people were doing it, and there are people actually doing it. Yeah. So it still has been happening.
It's super interesting. Between the two of us, we managed to hold 23 miles an hour, I think.
It's 23.5. Like
300 watts the whole way around. But when I compare that to riding with the group with 60, 70 guys, we were still 5 minutes slower.
5 minutes slower.
On a lap yeah.
Me and Ian trying to go as fast as we can, the two of us, for the whole 30 minutes compared to a group of 50.
Yeah.
With an easier power,
we did it in
lower
31 minutes. My best time around there was 26 something. Yeah. And that's with the big hitters on the Sawi shootout.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, weather was perfect. Weather was great again yesterday afternoon, and I did another couple-hour ride going along some bike paths and doing some efforts. So my legs are starting to come around a little bit after having this 2-week down. So look out.
Look out, people. I'm just glad the back is the thing that worries me, and I'm glad that's feeling better.
It was not worse.
And I'm glad that it didn't chain reaction into the bad stuff that you've had in the past.
Correct.
Because that
definitely could have happened.
That's real bad stuff.
And the freaking muscle relaxers that the doctor gave me, man.
Did you just poop your pants?
No, it made me have to pee every 30 minutes.
Ooh. Welcome to Jake and I's world.
Welcome to my world.
It was like, what's happening? I gotta pee right now.
Diuretic.
Something's wrong. What's going? Anyway, sorry.
For the record, I don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah, Jake got his fixed.
Jake 3.0 now, baby.
Plumbing corrected.
Oh, yeah! I can send you the name of a good doc if you'd like.
Yes, I'm there.
Sweet,
Jake.
Oh, you want to talk to me?
Yes.
You want to know what I did?
What did you do?
Oh, geez. When was the last time? This podcast last came out, what was it? Wednesday the 19th, right? So on Thursday, I rode on Zwift. On Friday, I rode on Zwift. And Saturday and Sunday, I rode on Zwift. And then, let's see here. Oh, this week I did Zwift on Monday. No, I didn't do Zwift on Monday. I took Monday off. Tuesday night gravel ride comes back. It makes its triumphant return. I rode on Zwift. Yesterday, I rode on Zwift again.
Jay.
So,
do you even remember how to ride around corners and stuff?
No, I don't. No.
I think you need to get a working bike.
I had all intentions of going out and doing Tuesday night gravel ride. I went to the lab, and part of that day was going to be me working on my gravel bike.
Get your gravel bike
Ask
ready.
me if I even had 30 seconds to do that.
Nothing.
That did not happen.
Oh, geez.
So it rolls around, and it's like, I've got to get out of there. It's 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I didn't touch my gravel bike today, and I don't get to do that ride, and I don't know. I had too many other things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's...
Are you tired of telling your friend Jake to shut up here?
All right.
Shut up, Jake.
All right.
Fix your bike.
Fix your damn bike, Jake. All right, let's move on. We're still telling me to shut up? Come on, you shut up. All right, let's do this.
Oh, Champ Bailey. Bring him out from the dungeon.
Smash your face into a car windshield and then take your mother, Dorothy Mantooth, out for a nice seafood dinner and never call her in.
That's right. What's up, Champ?
Champ is here. We, if you didn't watch Milan-San Remo, you need to go back and watch it.
I need to go back and watch the finish.
The last 20K were phenomenal. Now, Milan-San Remo, gigantically long race. It's like a 180-mile race or 160-mile race. And there's 2 climbs at the end. We already talked about this last week. The Cipressa and the Poggio. And usually the race breaks up at the Poggio, which is 5 kilometers from the finish. Mm-hmm. But the last couple years, the Cipressa has been
important.
Being more, crucial. Yeah. And man, this year it was just freaking amazing. Pogacar had a teammate who just drilled it at the bottom of the Cipressa. Halfway up, he attacks. He goes as hard as he can.
breaks the field.
Breaks the field, but Vanderpool was able to go with him.
Yes.
Filippo Ganna is able to go with
Pretty
him.
much.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And then one other guy kind of hang with him for a bit.
Yeah.
They get all the way to the top. They dropped Ganna, but not enough.
Not enough.
And he just like drilled it back to him. He was able to catch back onto him. They get on the Poggio. Pogacar attacks again. He attacks. I think he attacked 3 times trying to drop Vanderpool. He could never drop him. Finally, at the top, Vanderpool tries to attack Pogacar. It was great. You just have to watch it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
That race never disappoints. I mean, it's a long race, and 90% of it is not really worth watching. But that last 20K every year, man, it's the best racing on the calendar.
Everybody was kind of questioning Pogacar at the very end. Like, did he do this wrong? Did he do that wrong? I don't think he did. I mean, he did everything he possibly could to shake Vanderpool. Vanderpool played that perfect. He could not have played it any more perfect.
Yep.
Man, did not disappoint.
He was reaching for a feed when Pogacar attacked on that last time. Did you see that?
Yeah. He takes a bottle. Pogacar attacks. He takes a sip of the bottle, puts it in his bike, and just catches back up to Pogacar. What the heck? Anyway,
he's a beast. He's in beast shape right now. I mean,
And he played that sprint perfectly.
He played it. Yeah.
Went long.
Yeah, so it came down to the very final. They weren't really sitting right on each other's wheel. Pogacar, Filippo Ganna actually caught back on.
Right.
And so he catches back on. All 3 of them are together, but Pogacar kind of hung back to try to get like a sprinter's run at him to try to like attack him. And as soon as that Vanderpool noticed that Pogacar was back, he just went. He just like, I guess I'm going now with like
300, 350
like
to go.
350 to go, which is way too long to go. And he was able to hold him off. So Vanderpool wins. So fantastic. Great race. So first monument of the year, and it lived up to the hype. It was fantastic. We've got a few more monuments coming up. The Tour of Flanders, which both Vanderpool and Pogacar will be at, and Van Aert will be at. So that should be exciting and fun. And then Pogacar just announced, like yesterday or the day before, that he is going to do Paris-Roubaix.
Yes. Which, I don't know about that race. This is a dangerous race.
It's not just that it's dangerous. It's kind of built. You have to be like a bigger rider to like absorb.
It's kind of built for some of the cyclocrossy type people, or I don't know. I feel the one dayers typically do well. A lot of the classics people. I don't know. It'll be fun. It'll make it more fun to watch to have him in the race.
For sure.
Pogge's done well on the cobbles in the past.
He has.
He's strong with it.
And it's kind of exciting that my guess is that, well, Pogacar was like, well, crap. I didn't win Milan-San Remo. I may as well go to Paris-Roubaix and just do it because he hasn't ever done the race yet. So kind of exciting. Anyway, that was fun. There's another stage race going on in Volta Catalunya. Today they finished atop Montserrat outside of Barcelona. And Juan Ayuso tried to get away from Primoz Roglic, but Roglic pipped him at the line. So that's kind of some exciting races there.
I guess I don't need to watch that later then.
Sorry. You got to come prepared for this.
I guess.
Okay, the last 5K is worth watching, at least. Okay. Anyway. Other than that, that's it. Champ's out.
Good job, Champ.
Real quick, did you guys happen to catch the end of what was the name of that race? It was the 2025 edition. It was just a couple days ago. The classic Bruges de Panis, the men's final on that. Oh my gosh. Do yourself a favor and go watch that. I think it was like the last 4Ks. There were 4 separate major crashes.
Oh, I did see that.
Like they had a full peloton And only after all those crashes happened, only 20 people ended up finishing the race, if I'm not mistaken, or something small like that, or finished in that lead group. But it was just one crash after another. It's like, oh my gosh, how does that keep happening? And there were some notable people. Like I think the biggest one would be Tim Merlier. He went down pretty hard and had to get some stitches and whatnot, but that was a messy, chaotic race. And that's one of those ones that you watch and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that.
It's one of those things where the sprinters are trying to stay towards the front.
Yeah.
So they're behind their lead out men. And it still didn't matter if you were towards the front because there were crashes at the front.
Yeah, but there was
it wet?
No. There was even like a teammate that took out another teammate because of some half wheeling and ultimately took out 3 teammates. And it was just dumb stuff like that. They kept happening one thing after another. But none of these crashes were small. Like you would see the crash, and next thing you know, there's like 30 people on the deck, and like some people squirted out, and some people are like going around them and trying to keep it together. And like, oh, well, that's just gonna make the sprint a little bit more interesting. And like another crash in the same situation. It keeps dwindling the field down and down. But do yourself and go watch the YouTube. They've got a nice couple YouTube reels of that basically show the last 5Ks, and you're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That's ugly.
So bad.
All right, enough of that. Let's move on to.
I did it with
This might be the best intro.
Blood, sweat, and tears, and extra blood.
People don't. Yeah. This is a sport with literally hundreds of dollars on the line and dozens of fans. The stakes are medium.
Medium.
How do you beat the man on drugs if you're not on drugs?
Exactly.
Wait, did you just admit to being on drugs?
The EPO Chain Mail. Send us a text with your questions. Forward this podcast to 15 people, and you'll lose 10 pounds overnight without even trying.
This is one of the best,
got mail.
Best intro clips that we have.
Love it.
We do have mail. We've got a bunch of mail. All right. Do you remember my one last thing question from the last podcast?
No.
What did I ask you guys?
No idea.
What was it? Must have been important.
You guys weren't paying attention, were you?
We're only worried about ourselves.
I asked you, I questioned whether or not we should change our rating so that we can move on from the whole Disney.
Oh, yes.
From our Disney sponsorship, all those Disney dollars, flush them down the toilet.
Yeah. Or keep it PG.
Right.
We had some feedback. What do you guys think?
I think
everyone's going to vote for PG-13.
I think people don't care if we swear. That's what I think.
What do you think, Ian?
I think people don't care.
They don't care, Matt?
I think people are going to want us to go R-rated, moving away from our. That's my guess.
Full taint liquor.
Yeah. They want some dirt. They want dirt on their bike. They don't want these sparkly clean bikes.
Yep.
They want off-road bikes.
The feedback I got was keep it the way that it is.
Oh, okay. That was surprising.
Perfect.
And there was a couple people that reached out to me privately, and then there was one that came through, and this person from Anaheim, California, speaking of Disneyland.
This is Disney World, but go ahead.
Well, close enough.
Close enough.
Adjacent. That's OG. By the way, OG Disneyland, way better than Magic Kingdom in Florida.
Yeah.
Way better. Sorry. Just my 2 cents. But anyway,
more magical.
The listener writes in and says, day one listener here, and every episode since. I voted for the PG rating. I spend a ton of time chauffeuring kids from activity to activity, and this is one of the only podcasts I can listen to with them in the car. I don't mind Lance's anus jokes.
I did just say taint liquor.
But it is
It's like you predict the future.
But it's so nice not having to worry about F-bombs being dropped every 2 minutes. So... F-bomb away, but do know that I will be editing and editing and editing.
That's a great comment.
Can we say the word bollocks?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody understands.
Because that's balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's perfect. I think it's the perfect comment because I too can relate to chauffeuring kids around all the time.
Yeah.
And it's nice to listen to a podcast, and if it's full of cursing, then you don't want to listen to it with your kids.
True.
Who you're chauffeuring around.
Plus, doesn't your mother listen to this, Matt?
Sorry. She's very, my mom is very confused on like, oh, are you still doing the podcast? But what she means is like, are you still making videos on YouTube? Like there's no, that's all.
She thinks it's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing.
It's all the same.
So yeah, and I tell her all the time, like I have a podcast, and yes, I still am making videos.
So PG, I think we can safely say, though, maybe PG-13?
Yeah.
A soft PG-13?
Soft PG.
We can cuss with weird English
Britishisms.
Britishisms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's always the ice cream sandwich. That's always
it's
good.
a classic.
It's also classic.
And there's a bit of comedic humor to that as well. So we'll keep that in check. Thank you for the feedback, everybody. And thank you, listener from Anaheim, for taking the time to send us that note.
That's cool.
Much appreciated. All right. Our next one comes to somebody from the state of Washington. That's all I know. All right. I thought we had addressed this one, but then I looked at the date and it came out after we posted the last one. So the question is, any tips for staying motivated when many of the races you had planned on doing get moved to dates where you are unavailable? I've been following a training program to get myself fit for these events, and I want to use that fitness for something, but I struggle to stay motivated without at least one or two official races on the calendar. Thanks, and keep up the awesome podcast.
All right,
Strava.
I have 8 words for you. Strava. Okay,
that's it. Those are the 8 words.
Strava.
KOM.
KOM hunting.
Attempt. KOM hunting on Strava.
Oh, well, I'm going to be spoiling my one last thing here, but show up to the local flogging ride that will be starting next week.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so
you could find local race pace rides that you could do, and that would definitely be a test of your fitness.
Sure. Good way to stay sharp too.
Yep. The Sabi shootout, the Thursday night flogging. So those are a couple local. I guess this person is
PIR
local.
starts on
like
Monday
3
in
weeks?
like 2 weeks time.
Yeah,
weeks
I
or
guess
3
it depends
weeks?
on where you live in Washington,
Yeah.
but I mean, there is road racing all over the state that happens during the week. So
There's a road race series on Racetrack Pacific Raceways in Seattle-ish area.
Yeah.
There's other things you could do. You could also come up with your own personal challenge where you do something crazy like an elevation challenge. We've heard of people, doing what's the big elevation challenge? The 10,000 Everesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not something that I would recommend, but hey, if it tickles your fancy, go for it.
Yeah.
I just think that there's ways to fake a race, if you will, like have something to train for, something that you're gunning for, that you're excited about, and then go for it. And you can kind of put those on any dates that you want to.
Yeah. Another thing too is like you don't have, granted, you can't do that race on that date because they obviously moved it or canceled or whatever they did, but maybe consider finding a different race somewhere else. I mean, there's going to be races just about every weekend across the country. So maybe make something fun out of it. Yeah, a little destination race. Yeah. Find something that works in your calendar and see if you can sneak away for a couple days. That'd be fun.
You just want one, if you can find one event that appeals to you, one A race, it's often enough to give you that motivation, right? So just one goal. And then the other thing is, I mean, so many people do struggle with motivation. It's probably one of the most limiting things about increasing your fitness is staying motivated. So sometimes it needs to be more based on your own personal performance, like power goals, 5-minute power, 20-minute power, something that you can measure that's attainable, right? But it's not necessarily based on results from a particular race. Because even if you go to that race, there's so many variables, so many things that are out of your control. So you're not going to make that podium, but through no fault of your own, whether it's just who else shows up on the day or bike mechanicals or your wellness, fitness, all sorts of things can get in your way, let alone not actually being able to attend the race. So some sort of backup, motivating, objective goal, I guess.
I think, I recommend that with a lot of people where they're like, I'm doing an Ironman or whatever, or a marathon, and they've got all their training ready to go. It's like, it's kind of a good idea. You don't have to like sign up for anything in particular, but just have some sort of backup in mind in case the worst whatever happens, right? Like crazy things happen. Flights get canceled and you don't even show up for your race. And it's like wild things.
Your bike doesn't show up.
Your bike doesn't show up. Like things can happen and you're like, it's the amount of training and effort that you put in. Having these backup options is kind of worth at least thinking about. And I'm not suggesting that you like drop the credit card down and max it out and go into debt over these races, but like just having something that you're earmarking or kind of keeping an eye on, like, well, this could work. It's a month later. My training would still overflow. It would still all work out if I needed to. I don't know. Something to think about.
Yeah.
Moving along.
Strava.
KOM.
Oh, yeah, Strava, KOM. Absolutely.
Go take some from Lance.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. All right, next one. It's no secret that the prices of mid and top end cycling equipment have gone up significantly in the past few years. Could this be because most of these products are being made for sponsored professional athletes who need every last marginal gain to compete at the world's highest level, and not for us mere mortals who probably aren't fast enough to experience most of the claimed gains anyway? If true, cycling brands can change whatever or charge whatever they want for these products, since they are not targeting non-pros. And if mere mortals think it is worth spending that much money on their stuff, the company makes a huge profit. Thoughts?
I think pros don't pay for stuff.
True, but are they
For
just
one.
making it just for the pros so that they can have their marginal gains, or
I
are
think
they?
they're making it for retired dentists.
I think they're making it because they see there's a demand for it. They're not going to make it if they're not going to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
They'll set the prices based on what they think people will be willing to pay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, and some people are going to get priced out. That just happens because that's what your budget is. But I've always kind of been of the mindset that you kind of put your pension where your passion is. You've probably heard me say that before. So you're going to invest in the things that you're truly passionate about. That still doesn't mean that you need to go top shelf on everything, but it's kind of funny being in the position that I'm in and watching how people spend their money. We sell far more things that fall in the land of that upper mid to high end stuff. So if you're thinking SRAM, it's going to be, the
SRAM red,
the Force in the red. You're going to see a ton of that going out. If you're thinking Shimano, it's going to be your Ultegra and your Dura Ace and your XO1 and your XX1 kind of stuff. We sell way more of that stuff than we do the mid to low stuff, or the true mid. We'll call those things both upper end. But I don't know. I kind of see that as the way that people kind of go.
Well, while those high end products are unobtainable for a lot of people, or severely stretch people's budgets, it is a kind of aspirational thing where people want to have the best thing, and you never. Most people can't afford a top end Ferrari or Ducati or something like that, but you can just about. Those same people might be able to afford a Pinarello or
That's true.
something.
That's true. When you think about it, like there are people that collect cars. Like this sport is not all that crazy when you think about, what other people do. I do think that the original question or the commenter has a really smart comment, and they're like, are these little marginal gains that we're talking about here, or are they really of value? And I do think that a lot of these things, especially when we're talking about like components, a lot of it is just cutting weight. Especially we're talking about like mechanical shifting kind of shifts the way it shifts. Sometimes in my case, sometimes I do think that there's some advantages to like different shifting systems, and sometimes you can get some issues. But like a lot of times it's like, well, they've done more machining work on these parts to hollow them out basically more, and they just weigh less. And so that might not be of value to this particular rider. And for me, it's definitely not. Doesn't make any sense, right? Because there's easily 10 pounds that I can lose off the rider as opposed to the components. Right. There's no 10 pounds on the components to lose. There's 10 pounds up top. But anyway, my point is like, I think he makes a good point that these are definitely marginal gains when you're talking about some of the slight differences between the component sets. Who are they for? They're, like we said, they're for the people that can afford it.
Yeah, that's true. And, usually when you look at anything across the board, like somebody could have a hobby that they're truly like full into. And I'm going to look at that and go, oh, if I want to get into this, what's it going to cost? And you start to go look at the cost of these things, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's super expensive. What's something that I can just get by with?
Right.
And if that were the case, and I'm just going to use it a few times, that's perfectly fine. But if I were to go full into the sport, and I was going to go from more of like this is fun, to like an enthusiast, somebody that's going to take it very seriously, you're going to want to have some of the nicer gear, because I don't know, I'm also of the same mindset, like buy nicer, buy twice. There's a little bit of that, and then sometimes it's the nicer, better quality materials that they use that maybe are going to last longer, or they're going to perform a little bit better. So sometimes you do want to spend the money in those cases, but for the most part, you don't have to go crazy.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, you're buying a bike you're probably going to have for at least 5 years, maybe, and that's a long time, you know. And so you're like, you might as well get nice stuff for 5 years as opposed to being on something that's not so nice for 2 years. I don't know.
It is true that not every cyclist needs that cutting edge equipment. If you compete, like if racing is a big deal for you, and you want to be competitive, then I think it's probably more important, right? But
sure.
But to a lot of people, that buying one wheel set over another is barely discernible.
True. Yeah, sometimes depends, but yeah. I don't disagree with any of you guys.
Head versus zip. I mean, I'm sure zip costs a good bit more, but really how much value is there? I don't know.
Yeah. But there's going to be a big difference between that and maybe some, lower tier.
Sure.
So you're going to see a difference, but it's just not going to be that marked once you get into that same stratosphere where they're all kind of playing the same. And then you can look for value there instead of, don't buy a name brand and pay for that name brand's marketing and all the stuff that comes along with that when you can get something that's going to perform just the same for quite a bit less money.
There's definitely places for sure to save money if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there too that fall in love with this sport, and maybe they don't have like the deep pockets to go buy all the nice things, but what they end up doing is start making sacrifices in other areas where maybe they don't spend as much money on certain things so that they can allocate a little bit more budget to get some stuff that's a touch nicer.
Does Sally really need to eat 3 times a day?
No, Sally does not.
Sally, go back to your room. Dad's looking at bike components online.
Going back to the guy's original question is whether do these cycling insiders really have a plan about what they're putting out?
True.
No. They're freaking just guessing like you and I are guessing.
They're just engineers thinking this will be cool.
Yeah, this might be cool. And
wait, say that again. You think that they don't have any forward-thinking plan?
No, I think they want. I think they don't know if those forward-thinking plans are actually going to come true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Look. So
sort of, yeah. I mean, yes, they're going to sometimes have to throw things against the wall to see what sticks, but for all intents and purposes, when it sticks, then they start making those little incremental changes, and
you start to figure some things out.
Yeah.
But I don't think there is a full master plan. Unlike maybe SRAM came out with the universal derailleur hanger like 3 years ago, and that was a brilliant pllan that
and
eventually
the whole cycling industry rejoiced, or at least all the bike brands rejoiced, because guess what? We get an excuse to sell everybody brand new mountain bikes and road bikes and gravel bikes because everybody's going to want UDH.
I think the point I'm making is every time I get like really deep into an industry, whether it be real estate or business or hotel management or something like that, and I get to know like the principles that are making the decisions.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of idiots like I am.
100%. I 100% agree with Lance. I don't think that there's like some guy with a monocle sitting back like, now we're going to introduce 13 speed. Like, no, they're just, these are like engineers like, we can do this.
Of all the brands that you can think of, which one has a Mr. Burns sitting at the helm of the company? Shimano.
The evil.
No, we won't make more products we can sell.
That is the infuriating thing, though, right? You think, okay, I'm going to invest in say, top-end Shimano equipment. I'm going to buy Dura-Ace as opposed to Ultegra because, hey, the materials are better quality, the tolerances are better, everything is lighter, designed to last, and you can go and buy a Dura-Ace group set and it should be just as good 20 years from now. But the infuriating thing is all of those products you never get your money's worth out of because you're always tempted into buying the next one where they've made these
that has 30 millimeter tire clearance,
right?
And
Improvements, right? So what was state of the art and what was a great investment no longer is.
And there's always the dreaded word discontinued.
Yeah,
and that has happened. And as a matter of fact, with Shimano, that just happened because they had their whole 11-speed Dura-Ace line that just was retired. A year and a half ago or something like that? Maybe 2. I don't know. They stopped making those altogether. You have one crash on your bike and you destroy a brake lever. Either be prepared to pay 2x what you would have paid for MSRP on that through buying something used on eBay, or you're going to have to re-outfit your entire bike with the new 12-speed stuff.
And it should be the opposite. You should pay half the price because it's old components. And no one wants, it should be the case that no one wants their 11-speed components anymore. We should be able to get that stuff at a discount. That's frustrating.
You should, or there should be a certain amount of time that they make that stuff.
Yeah.
And I can get it. Like if it's like Dura-Ace that they were making 15 years ago, yeah, you can probably stop making that stuff. But we're talking about something that just kind of
half ago. Yeah.
Got, they had, it's one iteration removed and they discontinued.
Plus that stuff was wildly popular. Think how many bikes are out there on the road that are 11 speed.
Yeah.
Like some sort of Shimano 11 speed.
A good friend of ours here in the cycling community had a pretty bad bike crash about a year ago, and was coming back around. We helped him get his bike fixed, and we went to go get some a new lever for him. Discontinued, couldn't find it anywhere. And I'm like, dude, I looked everywhere, high and low. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go jump on eBay. I'm like, I think I saw something over there. If you can get it, snag it. And that's what he ended up doing. And you're paying more for a used lever
than a brand new one.
And that you're going to take that, or you're going to make that decision when it's like, all right, go pay $600 for a lever, or go pay $3,000 for a new group set. That's one of those situations that he was in.
I want to go back and look through some shoe boxes and see what I have. Like, do I have like a whole component set?
It's like old baseball cards. You can put that stuff up on eBay for 3-4x. See what happens.
This might be a decent segue into the new products that SRAM just released.
I've got a couple more questions.
Well, we can come back to those questions if we're talking about component sets.
Because
do you want to do that real quick then?
Yeah, I do. Because
all right, let's do it.
Because
you rode something.
So they came out with 3 brand new components.
It just dropped today.
They just dropped today. I just talked about how they have these are for mountain bikes, but mountain bikes, you can get the transmission system that does away with the derailleur. No derailleur, right? No derailleur hanger. So
are we talking about
for mountain bikes for the whole drivetrain?
So it makes your new mountain bike frame obsolete.
Correct.
Wait,
it has.
I have questions. No front derailleur, no rear derailleur.
Well, mountain bikes don't usually have front derailleurs.
It still has rear derailleur, but it's just set up in the whole transmission setup. It's a different setup, yeah.
Yeah, the transmission. So you might not know this.
I don't know any of this.
It's been a huge thing in the mountain bike industry and the gravel industry.
Okay.
We don't have derailleur hangers anymore on my mountain bike
because of the new.
Because the new derailleur attaches right to your bottom bracket, not your bottom bracket, right to your through axle,
which is awesome because it's so much more durable. I saw some guy stand on one.
Correct. You can stand on
crazy.
It. Yes, they're way more durable because nothing bends.
Okay.
So the system they came out with like 2.5 years ago is all electronic. And the high end system was like $2,600 for a complete drivetrain. Okay, that's pretty spendy for a complete drivetrain.
Yeah, one buy.
Yeah, one buy.
Yeah, it's just the shifter.
It's
the crankset, the
shifter, crankset, derailleur, chain,
and
cassette.
That's it. Okay. That's not brakes. No brakes in there.
No brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So all that stuff like $2,600, but it's all electronic. And as of before, they only had electronic shifting for this system.
You could tear it down. I think it was 2 tiers down that they were doing.
There was 3 tiers.
Yeah,
there's 3 different tiers. So they just dropped today a mechanical version of the transmission group set.
What do they call this transmission system?
They call it Eagle 90.
Eagle 90. Yeah. So now we have a mechanical Eagle 90.
Do you want to take a stab at what it costs, though?
I hope it's like under $2,000.
Keep going.
No, higher?
No, make a guess. Give me a dollar amount.
$1,500.
Okay, Ian, you got a guess on this, or do you already know the answer?
I already know.
Okay, then you get to recuse yourself from this. Lance, would you care to tell them how much this?
$680.
Whoa!
For the entire
buddy, way to go,
system.
SRAM.
Yes.
Now
the entire drivetrain.
That's not the only one that came out, though. Lance, you want to share some more pricing?
There's another system that's a little bit cheaper that will actually go mostly on OEM stuff, so original manufacturing stuff. But that
even cheaper.
That's even cheaper,
like $500.
Yeah.
So this makes this like super tempting, but the problem is you have to have the correct frame for this to work.
You have to have a UDH. It used to have.
So my mountain bike won't work.
No.
They do make adapters, though. I'm not quite sure.
Really?
I don't want to speak to this because I think that there are some frames it just does not work. But they do make adapters that will take your frame if it's not UDH and make it UDH, except the UDH stuff.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing
because I would information on that
for that particular product. It's like, hey, this is a great upgrade for a lot of people, but I'm guessing if they just bought their bike in the last 2 years that they're not looking to upgrade components.
They might not, but there's been enough interest in having a mechanical transmission system because the shifting is so much crisper and so much better. You can shift under full load. Like you're out, like you don't have to
mechanical and
mechanical and the electronic.
So you rode whatever day before last or whatever. You rode both, like the mechanical one, or what did you ride? You have one.
I have one that's electronic, and I rode one of theirs that was mechanical, and it shifted just as good as the electronic one. And it's a third the price.
Which is great. There's something appealing about mechanical shifting as well. It's just the simplicity of it. It kind of goes back to cycling's roots as a simple.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't want to invest a ton of money in mountain biking because it's like it's not something that I.
Yeah.
It's not cool. Yeah.
It is cool. It is cool. I mean, I don't know if we had like a mountain biking magazine laying around, then. We do have a mountain bike. 1993 mountain bike. It's just in front of us. This should be a video podcast. Anyway, but it's just that I don't ride the mountain bike that much, and I want to use it for like going and cruising around cross country kids that are running and take it on some trails and all this stuff like that. But
the transmission system is so much better. The shifting is so much better, and the fact that they came out with a manual version is just fantastic.
And more so much durability, I think, is probably an overlooked benefit. Yeah,
it's actually
so
lighter.
If you bought yourself an aluminum frame and a mid-range wheel set and a mechanical one-by system, you could probably walk out with from something around $2,000,
as long as it had
$2,500.
the UDA, as long as it had a universal derailleur hanger. Yep,
it's not bad.
Yeah.
Nice.
So going back to the whole, can you adapt? Transmission. So you can find some UDH adapters for traditional frames, but they are niche, unstandardized, and not always reliable. Obviously the best bet is if you're going to do the whole transmission thing, start with a frame that has UDH. It's UDH capable, but you're going to have to do a little bit of searching around to find out if your frame can be adapted using an adapter to actually put the UDH system on there. So it's just a case-by-case scenario, but it's an option. It might be worth looking into for some people.
Would it fit my 1993 stump jumper?
Yes, absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's one of the products that came out with this transmission system is fantastic. That's a great ad. Another thing they came out with the new brakes for mountain bikes.
Okay.
Usually you had to get either downhill brakes or cross-country brakes because the cross-country brakes are like lighter, but they didn't brake as well as the downhill brakes. And now they've made a downhill-ish brake system that is as light as a cross-country system.
Do they feel like that this is like the single brake system? They're going to like eliminate product lines?
No, they're not going to eliminate product lines because they just came out with a really robust downhill brake system like a year ago. But it's heavy. Because when you're a downhill bike, it doesn't friggin' matter. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how
it's all like it's a step in the right direction, though, right? So direction. More compatibility, and potentially cheaper
and cheaper and lighter. Yeah.
So what was it like riding all this stuff? You did you ride 3 different systems or?
So they're all 3 things were on the bike I rode. Okay. So the third thing that they also updated was
are you able to talk about this yet?
Yes.
Did it drop today?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, you got to hold off on that.
There's another thing. There's going to be an announcement
There's one
later.
more thing. April 3rd it comes out. The date is April 3rd.
You can't even talk about the date.
One more thing next week. Next week.
Thank you.
Stay
scratch
tuned.
That. Jake, can you go back and...
You didn't say anything. We're good.
Okay. Wait.
Stay tuned, people.
Stay tuned, people. So those
got everybody
pretty
sitting on the edge of their
Subscribe.
seat.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Dude, that's when you hit them with it, Lance. This is YouTube gold right here.
It is YouTube.
Okay.
So anyway, great products from SRAM. So actually updated good products that are cheaper.
That's awesome.
Less expensive. Not cheaper.
Yes.
Less expensive.
We don't use the word cheaper.
When you talked about the brakes, I was looking something up here. Did you mention what kind of brake fluid they're using now?
It is now mineral oil brake fluid, not that
.5 stuff.
Crappy .5 stuff. So
you can use cooking oil.
Better.
You just pour.
You can't use cooking.
You probably could.
Probably could. The .5 stuff, like if you got it like
Crisco?
Contaminated at all, it screwed the whole system.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've moved all to mineral oil with these new brakes, fantastic.
New bleed kits too? I'm sure we can talk about that. I don't know if that dropped yet, but they've got new bleed kits that came out that are supposedly a lot better.
Actually, when you buy the whole brake system, these new brake system, it comes with a bleed kit.
Wow, that's great.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So
Cool.
that's kind of cool.
Staying in the vein of new things, before we come back to our last question here from our wonderful EPO Chain Mail peoples, Matt and I were talking before the podcast started, and then he told me to put a pin in it, and he was going to come back to it later. There was something else new that came out. I think it was today, if I'm not mistaken.
Today, Garmin dropped something called Garmin Connect Plus, which is a subscription service for more data from Garmin Connect. A little bit of sprinkling of AI sauce in there.
Lance's favorite.
And we're talking about $7 a month or $70 a year. So a little cheaper. That's $10 cheaper than Strava Plus.
But you're supposed to get Strava like numbers from it.
Strava like numbers. Strava sucks with their numbers.
No, so there's a couple things to this. There's an AI piece that's just it doesn't look like it's I feel like it's almost like not fully fleshed out. There's an AI piece to it. Instead of this is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to say this for Garmin. Instead of artificial intelligence, it's active intelligence. Just like Apple does their it's not artificial intelligence, it's Apple intelligence. And I feel like there's another company that's gone down this same road of being like, we're not AI, we're something intelligence. Anyway, it's stupid. Just call it artificial intelligence, people. No one from Garmin's listening to us, but if they were, come on.
I don't know. There's a couple people that listen in Kansas.
Yeah, it's probably Garmin.
Seriously. When I can go look at the different cities, and was it Oath?
Yeah,
that's wherever they're based. There's a bunch of people that live in that area that listen to the podcast.
That is Garmin. Then.
Anyway,
so Garmin, if you are listening, and we know you are now, please just don't try. That's just a marketing thing. Don't copy Apple. And it was a horrible idea from Apple. So don't copy horrible ideas.
It's too late. Too late, Matt. It's out.
Your active intelligence or their AI part, it's going to be at the top of your Garmin Connect if you subscribe to this thing and you pay your money. They do have a 30-day free trial. So all of us should at least try that. But this active thing, it'll tell you things like, it looks like you didn't sleep well. It's a lot of the same kind of insights that you've already seen, but it's a little bit more conversational. So there's that. I don't think that would potentially push me to pay for this. Then they also have a couple other things. There's this new advanced data set that you can use, not on mobile, but you can use it on their website where you can build more charts.
What's the real draw with it, Matt? What would be the real reason I would want to pay a subscription for Garmin Connect? Because you still have the free version, right?
So that's one really important thing. You're not losing any data. Garmin is not siloing anything. It's all getting moved over. Like all that stuff is the same. If you do this is an added bit to it. The fear from everyone is that all the future enhancements, all the future engineering, all the future ideas and functionality are going to get moved into
paywalled.
This, get paywalled.
Which would suck because that's your data, your information, why you're paying to use their devices or own their devices.
And that's a point that a lot of people are making is that, hey, you're paying a bit of a premium for a Garmin device, right? So you're paying $1,000 for a watch instead of maybe $200 to $600, for other watches. And one of the great things is that Garmin gives you all of this really cool stuff. Like it's your data and you've got like coaching plans and you have all this stuff. And they are saying that we're not taking any of that stuff away. It just feels like newer features might potentially get moved into this Connect Plus piece. One of the other pieces, and again, so far you guys haven't heard anything that's really compelling, but another piece is this little in addition to your Garmin coaching plan, you can get some additional insights, they said, and they haven't really defined that well. But what I think it is like maybe some videos and some extra stuff like here's stretching and things like that you might do, or some, just like additional coaching insights, very not well defined by Garmin. Everyone's like, I don't know what this is. And then last, and you know how you say last but not least, this is last and least. The Garmin, you can get specific Garmin badges. And little, I think your icon can be a slightly different color, kind of like a.
You sold it to me right there.
I'm still trying to figure out how I can hide those stupid badges on my Strava stuff. Just out of curiosity, did they do anything with training plans? Did they try to maybe take a little bit off of Training Peaks or someone along those lines and integrate it in there? I could see myself being my curiosity being piqued if all of a sudden they've got something where hey, we see your numbers, let's build you a training program based on XYZ and start to do a little bit of what Training Peaks does within their own ecosystem.
So they've already had that. They've already had Garmin coaching. Sort of. And that's basically not changing at all. The only bit of that that's changing is this weird little, we're going to add some things to that, which is vague.
But with the coaching thing that they put out there, I haven't used it, so maybe you can answer a couple questions just to kind of bring it around for me.
Sure.
Do you tell it I'm doing races on these dates and I want to increase my FTP this much. I want to get this strong. I want to be able to do this, and then it will build a program off of that.
Yes and no. You specify a date. You specify what kind of race it is. Like, let's say you're running a 10K or whatever. It'll have a training program for you that it lines up on your schedule. It pops up on your watch when you do a workout. There's no like, I want to improve by 100 watts. There's nothing. There's no. That's not one of the choices that you would have. But you can specify the type of race and things like that you're doing.
So somebody like Ian, you use Training Peaks pretty often, right? All the time for all the clients and whatnot. Yeah. Have you used the Garmin, or at least looked into the Garmin Connect's version of what they're trying to do with respect to building training programs? And can you compare and contrast the two? Is it?
No, I've never looked at that. I mean, Garmin, I, all the data from Garmin you imports to Training Peaks.
Sure.
Yep.
And that's, for me, it's just it's a management tool for my athletes.
Yeah. Just to be complete about Garmin Connect Plus, there's one more feature that I that I overlooked, and it's an expanded live track feature where you can automatically send text messages and notifications to friends, which you can kind of already do, but this is like more automated, I think. Or there's this other thing where you can, I think, embed into like a website or wherever you want to a live tracking information for if you're racing or something like that. So some kind of small tweaks.
Okay.
But overall, Connect Plus seems like something that most of our listeners can do for 30 days and see how it goes. But or maybe you save your 30 days for when Garmin has improved this a little bit and made some more compelling features. Because I do think some of the AI stuff eventually will be compelling. It's just not there yet.
$7 isn't much, but at the end of the day, it's just another subscription, and I don't want to give another $7 to somebody for something that,
which kind of hits me in the gut a bit, because I feel like Garmin was this one company that didn't do that as much. I mean, they do have other subscriptions for other things, but it's like they were the one company that was like, your data, it's here. You can give you all these tools, and I was like, wow, man, that's pretty good value right there.
Where do you see the value for this program? Where would you subscribe to this? What dollar amount? I mean, obviously free would be best, but would you pay $3, $2, $5? I mean, where's that threshold at for you?
$1 or something. I mean, like it would be really, really low. I don't think that there's a lot going on here where that's compelling for me. I would like to see the feature that I want to see from them that I think they could actually build right now. Like you and I talk about AI all the time. I want to be able to have a conversation with my data over like voice, like directly. Sure. And this should be very feasible. Like you finish your run, you press save on your watch, and then you open up whatever Garmin Connect Plus, and you say like, all right, I felt crappy on this, and how was my last mile? What was my max power? Blah blah blah. Like you just kind of have this conversation with your data, and it just talks to you. I think that that's real value from like AI. And then I'd be like, oh, that's a cool thing that I would probably use. Like you're cooling down from your workout and you kind of talk to your data set.
It's just like a little debrief there.
Yeah. And so I would use something like that potentially. And that's doable for Garmin. And I expected a little, kind of what I expected was AI would have access to all of your data and you can have a conversation with it. And even if it was over text, like that should be pretty straightforward to build for them. And I know they can do it. And I have a feeling that they will, but I imagine that this is going to be a perfect spot for Connect Plus.
Yeah.
And I do think that they should charge for this because AI costs a lot of money. It uses a lot of power. It uses a lot of Garmin even could be using third-party systems or potentially open source AI models. Don't know what they're probably doing, but I'm guessing they're using some sort of like AI model to do some of this stuff. But I do think that this stuff costs a lot of money and a lot of engineering efforts, and I do think that they should potentially charge for some of these things, just the stuff that they announced with not what I would really.
Well, some of the biggest margins you can find in business in general is SaaS, so software as a service.
Yeah.
Like you can make a crap ton of money if you know how to write that kind of stuff and put it out to the world, market it correctly, and sell it. You can make a ton of money. So yes, they're charging $7, but it's not going to cost them near that. I would guess that maybe it costs them $1, kind of a thing. Well, probably not even that much.
Adding a user on, it will cost them nothing.
Pretty much
pennies.
So what I would love to see is a lower price, like something that really is like, that's kind of worth it.
I do think that they were aiming for low.
Sure.
I'm guessing they were probably throwing around numbers like $10 a month, and they were like, let's go super low. Let's go $7 a month. And I don't know.
I mean, again, that's not that much money. I don't think that's super low, though.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents. What I would love to see, though, is buy a Garmin device and get a year free.
I bet they'll do that.
Something along those lines, and then have the person fall in love with it. And if they keep their device for another year or two after that, then they could pay something that's a little bit less
That'd
cost.
be great for me. I would never have to pay for
Exactly.
it. I buy Garmin devices like every year.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
I don't know. That's just my 2 cents, but I'll try the 30-day thing out.
Try the 30-day.
Once I start riding outside.
Well, I think you're going to be disappointed. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
At some point in time, I'll try it out. I just want to see what it's all about.
I'm looking at like the active intelligence thing. Again, I hate the name, but like it's not providing value yet. So it needs to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, just a little branding thing there. Active. Haha.
Haha. Okay. Sorry. Total rant. We went on a total tangent, but we can get back to our EPO.
I'm completely uninterested in it.
Did you look it up and kind of, you're like, no, this is not for me.
Anyway.
I mean,
I use a Wahoo head unit. So,
yeah.
Or do you use Training Peaks
you
to view
have a
your data?
watch?
Yes, I use.
Are you subscribed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ian Matt, do you still use it all, or
I use Training Peaks.
are you a paid subscriber? Or
I don't.
do you use the free
Every
version?
other year, I'm like every other year I pay for it. Like if I remember, because they usually have a deal around
Black
Friday, and I usually if there's a deal for half price usually,
Yes.
and so I usually sign up for a year, and then I don't use it that much. Like I'm not a good like Training Peaks power user, but I think it's a good program. It's the best tool for analyzing your data, even though Garmin Connect is good, but like Training Peaks is better.
Sweet.
Training Peaks comes into its own if you're working with a coach.
Yes,
And
it does.
usually you get a free Training Peaks subscription.
What
included.
training coach would provide something
I'm
like
not
that?
sure who that would be.
Yes. Where can people go to find a coach?
Indeed.
You're not going to plug it? Come on, man.
Dial Performance Coaching
.com.
brought to you by Ian.
.com.
All right, let's move back into the EPO chain mail. We've got one more question here, and I actually quite like this one. I think it might even be my favorite one, but I got to come up with an answer for it.
Favorites? They're all good.
Yeah. Okay. Cyclists have so much old wisdom we ride by that maybe shouldn't be followed anymore. What's some common knowledge that we should probably leave behind? Some old school stuff that's still floating around out there that's like, moving on.
Leather chaps, not what they used to
That's
be.
a different kind of biking.
Oh, my bad.
Lance is still wearing a thong when he rides with his bibs, right?
That's never going away.
That's life. You're a lifer.
Seriously though, what are some old things that have just kind of stayed with cycling that just are here just because it's what people have always done?
I've got one.
What's that?
Okay, this might be controversial. You guys might dislike this, but you know how when you're biking, like the classic signals for turning is like you hold your arm like this bent, and it's like you're always holding up your left arm. And I think that now that I think it does make sense, right? Because the arm that's closest to the outside of the traffic is going to be seen, and you have your like bent arm, so you're turning right, or you have your arm out and you're turning left. A lot of drivers have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
I don't even know what it means.
So, okay, so what I do, and this is against the rules, the old school rules, I point where I'm going, and I think cyclists know what that means. I could be wrong. Like I'm turning here.
Do cars know what that means?
I think drivers know, like if this guy's pointing to the right, he's about to take a right. That's what I think.
All right, I don't necessarily disagree with that, and I don't think I've used the traditional hand signals,
like hand signal,
in forever and a day. And I specifically have not used it in the last 6.5 years because my left arm doesn't work like that anymore.
Okay.
My arm just doesn't go up that high. But
do you point to traffic like where you're going? Like,
yeah,
I'm going that way. Like I try to make eye contact with the driver. Yeah. Like here's where I'm going. Here's what I'm doing. I don't know. Yeah. So there's one.
Okay. Ian, you're old school. What's some old school stuff that you think needs to be kept or that people are walking away from, or vice versa?
I don't know. People used to just ride as many miles as possible, like in the off season. The more miles you do, the fitter you're going to get. And to an extent, there is still some truth in that, like especially your lower end aerobic power. But the concept of just doing more and more and more and more miles is old school, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the things people used to do, people used to believe that were good for you, are not valid, right? I've got these super old posters around my house of like 1908 Tour de France people drinking beer, smoking cigarettes,
Right.
because the cigarette smoke would open your lungs up. But it was, yeah.
So we should probably give up smoking then. Is
We
what you're
should
saying.
probably not.
Stop
Yeah.
Dang it. How about you, Lance?
One of the things that I don't like is old school cyclists that will not share any of their tips or tricks or things
Gatekeepers,
with,
huh?
Yes, gatekeepers. Yes. Like new people. Like somebody new shows, like you show up at a bike race and you see somebody put their number on improperly. And instead of saying, "Hey, let me show you how to fix this," you just like
You show
just
up at a
scoff at
bike at a road race and people are wearing black socks. And
Lance,
black shoes and black socks.
you hit on the thing that I think that I was going to say as well, and it's just that elitism attitude.
Elitism.
Yeah, the elitism attitude is something that I definitely think needs to go away.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
There's no place for it. Just be accepting. Just let people come in. Just share your thoughts. Share your tricks. It's not that big a deal. If somebody's going to beat you, it's not because you shared a trick with them. It's because they're faster than you. So
you kind of lost a race last year because you shared some wisdom with somebody, a teammate of ours, kind of, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, I mean,
was it drugs?
Practicing what you preach. Yeah, so elitism needs to go away. Anything else you guys can think of? I love that question. I probably should have read it sooner. I just read it for the first time.
That's interesting.
I know that there's got to be a million things out there.
It could almost be an entire podcast topic,
True.
especially if we came prepared, which always happens around here.
I do think that we should circle back to that one.
Okay.
So put some more
Good
thought
call.
into that for the next go around, and we'll see if we can give you some more feedback on that.
That's a good question.
All right, let's jump into one last thing because we already did our topic. It was kind of intertwined into the EPO. So let's do one last thing. Matt Legrand, what you got?
I posted a video this past week. Not many people are watching it, but it is a review of the Garmin Instinct 3.
Sweet.
And a lot of I actually had 3 different varieties and 3 different sizes. So you can really kind of get a good, clear detail on what is the optimal purchase because there are a lot of different varieties and a lot of different colors and things like that with that device. It's a good watch. Definitely worth checking out. And if you want the Cliff Notes, I like the watch. It's solid. I think that there's some probably decent values. You could potentially get the Instinct 2 or the Instinct 2X for discount and probably save a little bit of money. Garmin skipped the updated heart rate. They've skipped a couple other things with that particular watch. But yeah, it is what it is. So a lot of videos coming up, and that is my one last thing.
Sweet. Gibbo, what you got?
For those of you that live here in the Pacific Northwest, this coming weekend, there's a couple of really good road races coming up. The first one is Mason Lake 2. That's obviously at Mason Lake, which is north of Seattle up there. It's the first of a series of 4 races for the Pacific Northwest Cup.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's
So
super
there's going to be Mason Lake, there's going to be Banana Belt, Barton Park, and Boston Harbor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Anyway,
so
4
two,
races.
2 kind of up north and 2 down here.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
2
So
Washington, 2
it's a
Oregon.
collaboration between Washington State Bicycle
Obra.
Association and OBRA, and they've got some cool leaders jerseys. Castelli have donated some prizes specific to the series.
Cool.
It should be great. Mason Lake is a cool road race. It's lumpy but relatively flat. There's not too much elevation change. Narrow roads. It's safe. It's always a good.
Can you
good
tell
time.
if people are excited about this series or is it hard to
Yeah,
tell?
it's hard to tell.
Don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm curious to see if this does better just because it's a little bit of a blending of 2
Yeah.
bike organizations.
I hope so.
I hope so
really
too.
Hope so.
Hope so too.
It's, anyway, secondly, there is the return of the Rowena Roubaix. It used to be the Gorge Roubaix.
Correct.
Last race in 2018, I think it was. I look back through my
That sounds right, yep.
Strava.
First
and-
time Jake and I ever raced with each other.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful race.
Second time, because the first time was the Dirty Circles. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, it starts in the Dalles, Oregon, here in the Columbia River Gorge. So it's super scenic the whole way. Goes up the Rowena Crest curves down to Mosier. There's some sustained gravel
There's a
climbing.
3 mile gravel section.
3 mile gravel section, but
Dry Creek.
Yep.
You don't need a gravel bike. It's smooth.
It's smooth.
It's also going to be the Oregon Road Race State Championships.
So, quick question. I'm sorry. I want to ask you a quick question. You say it's smooth. It's dirt. It's supposed to rain. And you're going to be on a road bike with road bike tires.
Yes.
How does that change things on that road? I haven't ridden on that road when it's rained.
Next question was like, okay, what bike are you going to use?
I don't think they're looking at that much rain in the Dalles.
Yeah, that is true. Once you get out there in that neck of the woods, the rain really falls off a lot.
Yeah.
And the forecast at the moment calls for rain later in the evening on Sunday, so it might be dry for the race. Regardless, it's a road race. It's a road bike race.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And like I said, we did it back in 2017 and 18, and it was always a cool event, well organized. So
did
it's
you
good
race
to see
in
that back
2017?
again.
Were you out there racing?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was when you and I raced on Monster Media.
Monster Media.
No, wait, 2016 was the first year I did. Did you do it that year when we were on Monster Media together? I don't know if I remember seeing you out there.
I don't think I did on 16. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I did.
Did you?
I did, because I remember talking to you in the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were we in the same field? Or what
Possibly.
category? I was
Not
racing
sure.
in the 4-5 field. I had just gotten my mandatory upgrade from 5 to 4. And I raced in the 4-5 field with our teammate Jordan Rickards.
Yeah,
So,
Jordan was there. Yeah, I would
were
have
you
been
you were in that field too, right?
Yeah, I was the same field way off the back. I took 63rd that day.
Nailed it.
I remember because I had to sprint for 63rd place. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
That was a fun race. I was actually just talking to somebody about that this weekend and it reminded me, and I pulled up the picture, and it was when Jordan and I attacked after. Well, actually, it was. Okay, let me kind of back up the thing here. Tell a little bit of the story. When we left, there was over 100 people in that field.
It was big.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And when we had the neutral car that let us out of town, pulled off, and then it's, you've got to mind, center lane rules and whatnot. You can't go around that. There were so many freaking people, and we were in the back, third. Getting up to the front was going to be it was almost nearly impossible, but Jordan and I managed to, every time there was a chance, we would sneak up a little bit. And finally we get to the base of the Rowena climbs, and there was a line. I saw that and I just jumped on it. And we rode away from everybody going up the Rowena switchbacks. And there was probably myself and Jordan, I want to say 6, 7, or 8 other people. I can't remember exactly, but it was about that amount. And we just hammered it all the way up that thing. And there's the sweetest picture going up that somebody got. And I'll have to show it to you after the podcast. Maybe that'll be some thumbnail art. Who knows? But I remember we get to the top and we look back and everybody was gone. It was just the 8 of us. And we just kept our noses down. We started working together.
I was one of those that had gone, I think.
Same.
Then we finally get to the Dry Creek climb, and we're going up that long dirt thing. Was it 3 miles or something like that?
It's the whole climb's 7 or 8 miles, but there's a 3 mile gravel section.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so we're going up that, and I'm just taking my turns, taking my pulls, and we get close to the top, and this guy looks over and he's like, "Man, you sure climb good for a big guy." I'm like, "Gee, thanks." I mean, at the time, I think I weighed about 178 or 180 pounds ish or something like that, but I was able to keep up with them. And then we all were kind of hammering, and it was fun coming back down and coming down the Rowena switchbacks. And I remember being in that section, and these guys were not going fast, or they were not being aggressive. And I'm thinking to myself, do I attack here? Should I attack here? I'm like, no, I'm still kind of new to this bike racing thing. And then, it kind of levels out, and then there's a sprint finish, and you get to 200K, and I looked back at them, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go. Just rode them off my wheel. Cheers. It was fun. That was a great race. That was fun. Anyway, sorry to hijack that.
I remember that was my first ever road race I did.
No way.
Yeah, and when it started, and we're all all together, and I'm sitting 60th wheel, I was thinking, this road racing's easy.
Yeah.
This is easy. I'm just sitting here in the draft. I'm not working that hard. And as soon as it went uphill, I was like, oh. I guess I'm going to ride the rest of the day by myself.
That's fun.
But they are, it's a beautiful course though, that climb, and especially the descent up Rowena Crest is wonderful. The whole thing is good. The road service is good. The weather's better out there in the Dalles, and I think looking at the website now, there's going to be a good turnout, so it should be a good weekend.
Sweet.
Should be fun.
Appreciate that. Showed the guys a picture right
Pretty
there.
pictures.
Yeah. Is that it for you, Hep?
No,
you didn't even do your thing. That was Ian. Sorry.
Backpedal, Hep.
I couldn't even remember who I hijacked there.
Not backpedal. One last thing, Hep.
I am continuing with the YouTube project for the year. We're kind of seeing how it goes.
How's Sam doing?
I did cross over 600 subscribers today as we were doing the podcast. So
Nice.
Go figure.
It's a great channel. It's really
made
good.
3 or 4 videos. I think 3 videos this week. I'm not doing it every day because I've found that some of the days are really mundane. You don't want to see that, but I'm trying to make it somewhat interesting. So I did some videos on the Troll Bridge, on McNamee, and
which videos are doing well? Are you starting to see a pattern at all, or
well, the race videos do well.
Okay,
yeah, the race videos, and
want to learn
your
about
popular
Shootout
ones.
is got what, like 20 or 30K views?
The Tucson Shootout video has almost 30,000 views.
Wow, good
Yeah.
job, dude.
Yeah, so
people want to learn about these things.
People want to learn about those things.
Yeah, it's cool.
Anyway,
right on.
That's it.
That's
Jake?
it. I wanted to just take a minute and say thank you to a bunch of people. First and foremost, thank you, Ian, for helping out with the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial and all of the effort that you put into that, and all of the volunteers that came out and helped us out. I wanted to thank our sponsors, who I had to sit there and corral and like beg and plead and ask them for all kinds of goodies and whatnot. So, there was a bunch of great prizes that came out that we were able to hand out, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Want to thank all the racers who came out and all the people that came up and took the time to say thank you and how much they appreciate it, and they're looking forward to next year and saying, hey, when are you going to have like 2 of these in a year? And every year we get that, like, when are you going to do 2 of these a year? When can you do one like in the summertime? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one of these years. Again, want to thank our teammates that came out and raced and volunteered. You guys are all fantastic. I also want to take a minute and just thank our listeners to this podcast, because they keep sending us all these great EPO questions and whatnot.
Great.
And like I've always wanted to be able to connect with them that way. We've just never had the capacity to do that. Now that we have that feature, I love the fact that people are taking advantage of that. We get some great questions out of it, and it could almost drive the entire podcast just answering these questions, because they're great questions. So thank you for that, and please send more. I also wanted to say a big thank you to one of our new bike brands, Factor Bikes. They are bending over backwards, and they're taking exceptionally good care of our team, and they're really doing a lot of cool stuff for the lab. And we're still working with some other great bike brands as well, but these guys are a little bit new to the game with us. We've been working with them for, it's coming up on a year now, but I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it is to work with them. Like, I get to do all of the back behind the scenes and getting to talk with these guys. They are the coolest bunch of guys, and all they want to do is see us succeed, and they want to support our team. They want to support the lab, and everybody who's been on their bikes absolutely loves them. Lance, our bikes will be here very soon. I think they're shipping. I think, fingers crossed, I think they're going to ship sometime next week. So,
what are you guys going to be riding, like a road bike from them?
Yeah, road bike, Factor Ostrovam.
Ostrovam?
Yep.
I want to learn a little bit more about
it's their aero frame road bike.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's cool about that is
what are the tire clearances?
33 or 32 or something like that. Yeah.
I like
it's pretty sizable, but
love it. Love it.
It's an aero frame, but it's a lightweight bike. It's still right up in there with a lot of your traditional kind of climbing bikes, if you will, in terms of like the weight, but you got the aerodynamic benefits of it. So anyway, just a big thank you to those guys. Appreciate it. And I think that's it. Thank you to you guys too for putting up with my crap. Oh, that was what I was going to say too. One last thing to thank people for is thank you for giving me the grace to get caught up in my everything. I was gone for a little bit of time for family vacation, and I was already backlogged on everything. I've been really bad about communicating lately, and then I left for vacation and came back, and I was expecting it to be like kind of bad. It was twice, 3 times worse than I thought it was going to be, and like digging myself out of that hole is going to be forever and a day. I'm slowly getting there, and I'm trying to chip away at that as much as possible, but thank you to everybody that's been patient with me, so appreciate that. All right, I'm going to shut up now. Where's that button at? Nope, that's the wrong one. All right, that was supposed to say Jake shut up, but anyway. All right, that's it. We're done. We will be back next week with another one of these. Thank you very much for listening, and until then, bye for now.
It's your birthday today. It's your birthday today. Rock and roll and celebrate. We lose control and you cut the cake. The night is your destiny. Wait, so share toast with your closest mates.